Hello and welcome to the week ahead. I'm a little under the weather this week, so I'm going to try to keep this one brief. I'll start by saying that I've actually had a pretty difficult time getting any trades off the ground recently. I only really have one position right now, and that's in Monster, which I'll go over in a little bit. But I found this whole sideways range that we've been in to be confusing. And the rotation I find is like by the time I realize something is running, it's probably a little too late for me to get involved beyond any like tight risk spots. And then we're sort of rotating through all these different things like XLF, XLV, oil names, getting a bounce, like Bitcoin names. I think it's the concentration of movement has spread. And, you know, where it was the AI trade or the memory names strong or tech optics strong, now those are all doing various different things, and there's no real like steady group to focus on. And so that's been a bit challenging for me. So I'm kind of in the mode of just taking a beat, letting things resolve themselves, letting something really smack me in the face that I want to try it. And so, for example, Monster I've been watching for quite a while, and it's been a daily EMA 12 rider. As you can see, it's a really choppy mover. Like, you need to have patience to be in this name, and you need to find good spots unless you're really comfortable staying red for a long time. Because if you ever chase this name up, you're gonna be stuck in the red for days or weeks before it starts to make its next leg up. So I was away this last week on Wednesday and Thursday, so there was no trading for me, and that just happened to be the day that everything dipped that I was watching. So when I came back on Friday, I basically bought this right on the open, thinking that this was going to hold as a daily high or low. And it's the only trade that I've had that's worked in a while. And I'm still not even risk-free on it because I would need, like, my stop is still down below this potential daily high or low. And like, I haven't taken anything off yet. I'm just going to wait and see what this does in the week ahead. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I think NQ, I've heard Charting Mandan from the chart guys talk about how this on Wednesday was an undercut and rally. So, undercutting this prior low. And instead of having follow through like a daily downtrend follow through, now you've got a really nice bounce happening. Meanwhile, you've got ES, which is still in the tightening range and continuing to push up. The way I look at it is we've pretty much got this high here and this low here, and then we're sort of oscillating between there. We've set now a higher low and are working our way back up, trying to push through this. So we'll see. I think obviously everybody thinks or is assuming that we're probably going to get back up here to all-time highs. And what happens when we get there? Who knows? It is the summertime, and I think a lot of the big money is probably on vacation. And so that changes when the people in the market are not the big money traders, and it's, small, maybe retail traders. It's like when the cat's away, the mice will play, and you kind of don't really know what's going to happen. It certainly feels that way to me when we're trading in the market. Now, as a result of all of this time that I've kind of had on my hands, I spent a lot of time thinking about how can I better track this, because we have EMA riders, and that's part of the whole point of this system, is to figure out where is the rotation going, where is the strength appearing, what things have been lagging that could be leading, all that kind of stuff. And so I did an overhaul of our whole AI infrastructure on EMA riders over the last week. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I came to land on some of these setups that I'm looking at here on my watch list. And that is over here. So I realized that I was only using part of the data that we had in the system to perform the analysis on the market. And I did an overhaul of A, the AI that we're using to do the analysis, and B, what we give the AI when it does its analysis of what's going on. And I rolled in everything from the sector ratio analysis that we do to the relative strength stuff that we've added recently, along with all the things we already measured, like which stocks are riding EMAs, what timeframes are they riding them on, and how extended are they from the 50-day simple moving average, like all these things that we sort of bake into our system. And now we have this very cohesive summary of all the themes we see in the market, and the AI is able to really give a really solid summary of what's going on each day. and overall in the market. And through that, it can then talk about the most notable things that it's seeing in our data, and also call out what are the longs, like what are the themes that are showing strength, and what are the names within that theme that you could be focusing on. How extended are they from the timeframes that they're riding on whichever EMA 12. So here you see refining and pipeline, so VLO, MPC, DINO, and PARR, all showing strength and pushing up. This data platform was a little surprising to me. I kind of thought that all the tech money was coming out, but there are a bunch of actually pretty good setups here, and they are in mixed levels of pulling back right now. So for example, I tried a trade on Datadog on Friday based on what this analysis had shown me. Did not work. Datadog came in a little bit lower, but it's still on the watch for me in the coming week. We have a bunch of names in e-commerce that are showing strength that I wasn't even aware of. And so I took a closer look at this entire group and found that there were some pretty cool names in here that have riders. Like Etsy is really interesting to me. And if you jump over to the chart and look at Etsy, you see that we were in this longer term sort of bottoming structure, and now we're breaking out to fresh highs above this prior high here after it attempted to rally and then failed. Came back, ultimately set what was probably a weekly or monthly higher low, probably monthly higher low, and now is breaking that level to the upside and riding the daily EMA 12, and was coming out of this little push up with some real strength on Friday. So this isn't really in a position right now to take a trade, but I thought this is a very interesting development that I really had no awareness of at all, because on the longer term time frame, we're basically now in a monthly uptrend. And so just interesting stuff that I hadn't really would have thought of before. Another one, Shark Ninja. This is just a very strong chart. Another name from that e-commerce space, and showing real strength riding the daily EMA 12 again. Just like I said, came in for a dip on Wednesday and now is rallying back out of that. So some really interesting things to take a look at based on that analysis coming from the AI and all the stocks we have in our stock universe over at emariders.com. So this is really just such a neat development to be able to get this really quick summary, understand what you need to be looking at, and each of these sections, both the longs and the shorts, you can click this button to export as a watch list, import that into TradingView, and then just cycle through all the charts and see what you think about these specific setups that it's telling you about, or even just jumping into what are the other names in that theme doing. Another way you could do that is, and this is part of what I do as well each day, at the end of each week, is I jump over to my live data, which again, the market's not open right now, but we can still look at the data from Friday's close, and I can see like what were the big movers on the week, and where should I be looking within that. And so that's a lot of the stuff that ends up showing up here is probably what it's going to be talking about in the strength over on the AI tab as well. So this just gives you a full view of all the themes that were strong, that made the biggest moves on the week, and what are the strong names within those themes that you might want to take a look at and see if there's a rider that you might want to get involved with on whichever time frame makes the most sense. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Hopefully I can come back with a bit of a better read next week, because I'm not feeling well at all. But that's it for me. I wish you guys the best this week, and happy trading.